This Monero Matteo video is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Safely store, send, receive, and trade your Monero on Cake Wallet on Android and iOS. Alright, what's going on, Monero Bros? Good to be with you guys today, and I guess our mateys and whoever. Freedom Coin Covenant, welcome back, everybody. We've got the shades on today. There's no particular reason for them being on, but it just feels like that kind of day today. We got the hat on today, the pirate hat, because Pirate Chain is up like 35% today. I mean, it had a big old day. It was going exponential at one point. I don't know why, but it's having a good day. And Monero, of course, has a good day every day because we've got more adoption going on, and we typically don't look at the price because what's going on the ground is really what we're looking at. And we've been looking at that for a long time now, and the developments are really coming out in our favor. And one of those particular developments, I just want to start off right off the bat. We have Monero Bros in the Monero Bro Battalion who are earning their stars today. They're earning their badges, and we've got to give shout-outs and support these guys because they are doing the work. They're getting out there into the real world, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about Zaptosis. Zaptosis, if I had a digital badge I could send you or something, that'd be awesome. In fact, I actually shared this on Twitter, and people were looking for your QR code. They wanted to donate to you and support you for your efforts. But what did Zaptosis do? He made a guide based on the EFF privacy guides. I'm not sure what EFF is, but he made these flyers to hand out to the truckers because he's in Canada. He is pretty much ground zero where this protest is taking place. And so he decided to hand out these flyers, which were guides on how to defend yourself from digital surveillance and fundraise without censorship by using Monero and Signal. So that's amazing. He's handing these out at the protest. And guys, go check out his channel. He's got a YouTube channel with 10,000 subscribers, actually. So he's getting after it. He's really spreading the word himself, and he was at the protest last night. He has a video up, but yeah, I mean, he's in the fight, man. We love it. We need more of this, guys. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So, Zaptosis, if you've got like a QR code or some way we could support you, brother, hit me up. And Zaptosis also has, and I don't know if I said this, he's had some victories, actually. He's going to be talking, I guess, according to him, to one of the fundraising leaders. Let me see if I can find the tweet. Oh, it's here. Let me see. Just give me one sec here. He says they are officially accepting Monero, guys. Tomorrow I'll be speaking with one of the people in charge of fundraising to get the word out there to the supporters. He says, I bet the surveillance state hates me right now. Well, you seem to keep it pretty private, so you got it locked down, brother. I love it, and I hope that I continue to get updates on that, Zaptosis. So go check him out. And also, he's got an initiative going on here at buymecoffee.com or buymeacoffee.com. I guess this is sort of like a way that content creators could be supported. It's like a Patreon alternative or competitor. I'd never heard this before. If you guys have heard of this, let me know. But he has a proposal to the Buy Me a Coffee crew, and he says, offer Monero payouts for creators. Now, how cool would that be? He says, Monero is an established cryptocurrency which has virtually no fees, transfers are nearly instant, and it protects the financial information of its users through blockchain encryption. This would be ideal for withdrawing funds to disadvantaged creators who may not have access to the banking system, and combat high remittance fees while also being private and secure. If Buy Me a Coffee chooses to offer payout options in Monero, it would be the first Patreon alternative to offer crypto solutions. It would be a huge competitive advantage, which would attract many creators. So that's awesome, brother. That is awesome. Guys, I made a Buy Me a Coffee account just to up this proposal here, so I would encourage you guys to do the same thing. He's going to do it with his YouTube channel as well. If we get this high enough, maybe we can get Buy Me a Coffee to offer payments or payouts in Monero. How cool would that be? So go check out that. Zaptosis, doing the work, brother. I salute you as a Monero bro, one to another. So, all right, bros. And by the way, if you want to get like a cool Monero t-shirt like the ones that I have been wearing, and the videos recently and you want to get a nice discount on it, my affiliate partner will give you one if you hit the link below in the description box. It should be like tinyurl/Monero First. That's going to take you to this page where you can get an awesome Monero t-shirt. Use the word crypto in the checkout coupon thing, and you will get a discount. Pay with crypto. Pay with your favorite crypto, which is Monero. So getting into the news. Russia shares plan to regulate Bitcoin. I'm sure you guys heard about this. They've been going back and forth a little bit. They've been taking us on a little bit of a dramatic ride. First, they said they're going to be banning Bitcoin, or at least the central bank said that. And then the bros over at the Treasury and in other parts of the government said, hey, you know what, maybe we should regulate this stuff. And India kind of went on the same track where they said, hey, we're going to ban this stuff altogether. And then there was some conversation had to regulate it, and that's what they ended up doing. Now, I don't know if this is part of just the sales pitch to the public to have massive KYC regulation. Because it's like, hey, we're going to ban it altogether, and then the public's like, no, and then it's like, okay, maybe we won't ban it, but we're just going to surveil the crap out of it so that everything you do is surveilled, and you have to be tied into this, Skynet type deal. We'll get into that in this video. All the Bitcoin bros are saying this is a huge victory. When you get into the deets of what it is they're actually setting up, I think you may think twice about that. And we'll get into that. Let's check it out. Russia shares plan to regulate Bitcoin. The Russian government published a document on Tuesday outlining the principles for regulating Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in the country. Russia will follow the Ministry of Finance's suggestion to regulate Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies instead of banning them, as previously recommended by its central bank. The Russian government published a document on its official website, and they laid out the rationale behind the decision. And it looks like the Bank of Russia conceded with their regulatory proposals. The Russian government wants to remove cryptocurrencies from the regulatory gray area that they are currently in, integrate them into the financial system, while quote-unquote protecting the rights and interests of investors. Right, and we've talked about how in order to have fraud prevention, in order to protect the rights of the innocent and the investors, there's going to need to be watchtower nodes on the Lightning Network. There's going to need to be massive KYC, CoinMe ATMs, which you're going to use in order to get cash for Bitcoin or your CBDC. They're going to want your biometric data. So, yeah, we're starting to see a lot of this stuff come into the scene. It's going to be to protect your rights that they have to surveil you at all times. This isn't really anything new, but that's what's going to be playing into crypto. And if a crypto has a backdoor, which Bitcoin obviously does because it's transparent by default, then it's just going to be a surveillance system. That's just what's going to be happening, while dividing them between qualified and non-qualified investors. On January 20th, they proposed a blanket ban on mining and the usage of cryptos, citing concerns that the activities could pose risk to the country's financial stability. On January 26th, Vladimir Putin, the president, said in a meeting with the government officials, despite the risk borne by the central bank, the country had competitive advantages in Bitcoin mining due to its power surplus. And they do have cheap energy. They have a lot of energy over there. And they have a surplus, especially now that they're gutting off their energy to Europe. So Putin also asked the two entities to reach an agreement regarding the direction of Bitcoin regulation in Russia. And remember, one of our plays here, not financial advice, is Gazprom and Russian energy as a whole. Gazprom has been doing rather okay recently. In the 2 days following Putin's comments, the Russian government drafted a roadmap for cryptocurrency regulation, or legislation that would encourage developments in the industry while ensuring regulators could enforce restrictions and collect taxes on the transactions. So they said that Bitcoin cannot be stopped and instead seeks to put laws and restrictions in place to empower watchdogs. Right. And I think that, if I remember properly from our Russia crackdown video, one of the considerations that was put forward in order to actually allow Bitcoin to be used as a currency was that we don't want there to be a black market which crops up because we have banned it altogether, which happens when you ban just about anything. You ban alcohol, you get the bootleggers. You ban, other substances, you get the cartels, right? And so you ban Bitcoin, you may get Monero Bros, right? And so that may be something that went through their mind. If we don't regulate the popular crypto of the day, which actually allows us to get a lot of tax revenue, which actually allows us to, have an industry crop up to mine this stuff, which again could allow us to get more tax revenue and to surveil the public and all this stuff. Evade sanctions, maybe they're going to try doing. Well, then we may have a bigger issue on our hands. People may start to use cryptos we actually can't track and trace, right? Namely Monero. Now, in my opinion, the adoption of Bitcoin by the powers that be right now is going to create kind of like a revolutionary paradigm in crypto itself, because to some degree, the big Bitcoin bros, what I'm starting to call big coin, the establishment of crypto, they're totally selling out what the promise of crypto was. I mean, the whole idea of crypto was to circumvent governments and big banks and to allow us to build parallel economies that facilitate trade between one another, man to man, without third parties getting into our business, regulating us, taxing us, and everything. That was the whole promise. Now that it's being integrated into the very same forces that crypto was cropped up to fight against, I think that revolutionary fervor is going to be transition to another part of the crypto market. And what market do you think that would be? I think it's Monero. So I think in a way, the more adoption by the big institutions of Bitcoin, the more bullish for Monero. Because if they get control over this blockchain, and we've talked about that in many cases with OFAC coming into the picture, which is probably more likely now that Russia's adopting this, by the way. OFAC being the Office of Foreign Asset Control. They are the part of the Treasury Department which is responsible for enacting sanctions. That's one element, but you start to have the big institutions come into this stuff and start KYCing everything and start monitoring everything and taxing you on everything. Maybe they start, integrating, interoperable computer codes that have tax codes, which make your tax burdens just go through the roof. It's just I think there will be a contingent of crypto bros which are dissatisfied with that. Now, we're going to get to the part of this which is concerning, but what I noticed when I found just how KYC laden and surveillance oriented this whole thing was, this Russian adoption, I went through Twitter and I looked for people who were commenting on this, and I couldn't find anybody. Everybody was like, we're going to get rich. Russia's adopting this, which means this is going to force the United States' hand. They're going to have to adopt it too. Maybe that's what the whole Bitfinex thing was all about. Maybe the U.S. government didn't want to spook the world and tell everybody they're buying Bitcoin too. They want to get it for cheap, as if the government cares about getting Bitcoin for cheap. I mean, if they wanted Bitcoin, they're the world reserve currency. They can just print it up and buy it, okay? So you're hearing a lot of stuff about how this is good for adoption and attendees, but you're not hearing about how it's perhaps bad for people's financial liberties, rights, and security. And we'll get to that. So back to this. State efforts will also include licensing exchanges and banks interested in providing Bitcoin services to ensure they have liquidity cushions. Okay, and by the way, it's probably not just going to be licensing exchanges and banks, but miners as well. This is going to become a phenomenon. If you want to mine Bitcoin, maybe if you want to even buy an ASICs rig, you got to have a license or you got to have some excuse to do so. It's going to be like Sudafed, right? In order to get some Sudafed, in order to make sure you're not like a meth cook, you're going to need like some justification, right? Or you can only buy so many ASICs rigs. Maybe you need a note from BlackRock in order to buy one. Who knows? Only financial institutions that get a license will have the right to open cryptocurrency-related accounts for individuals. The document also provisions the usage, here we go, of a transparent blockchain, quote unquote. Are they talking about just provisioning Bitcoin? Monitoring system, which will identify and classify people, organizations, and wallets that use, sell, or deal with cryptocurrencies in Russia. So let me read that again. The document also provisions the use of, quote unquote, transparent blockchain monitoring system, which will identify and classify people, organizations, and wallets that use, sell, or deal with cryptocurrencies. Okay, so you want to have Bitcoin, you want to have crypto, cool. The government needs to make sure that your wallet is tied into their tax system and to their regulatory system and their law enforcement system. and they're going to be watching everything you do. That's basically what that says. The transparent blockchain can create models between different transactions and scan the internet and the dark net to reveal wallets connected to suspicious activities, including money laundering and all this stuff. So, yeah, it appears individuals will be able to use self-custody wallets, but would need to register it with the transparent blockchain beforehand to connect the wallet to the person using it. Okay, so everything's KYC. It's essentially what we just read. And my suspicion is that as Bitcoin adoption grows, assuming that it does continue to grow, I still have a lingering feeling that when the CBDCs really get going, there's going to be another crackdown on Bitcoin, the cryptos. Maybe a total ban, who knows? Or maybe this is going to be, integrated into the whole digital gold psyop, where it's just like, oh, you don't use it as currency. It's just a representation of value that you hold, to represent maybe something that you could redeem for CBDC, right? So it's digital gold. It's not real gold, even though the Bank of Russia is literally buying gold like there's no tomorrow. But the thing is, as we'll get to, they don't want you to use this as currency. In fact, where's the article? The Cointelegraph reports that cryptocurrency transactions of more than 600,000 rubles, roughly $8,000, will have to be declared. Otherwise, it could be considered a criminal act. Okay. So that's pretty interesting. They are going to draft a law that will define crypto as an analog of currencies, rather than digital financial assets set to be launched. Cryptocurrencies would function in the legal industry only if they have complete identification through the banking system or licensed intermediaries. Bitcoin transactions in possession of cryptocurrency in the Russian Federation are not prohibited. However, they must be done through a digital currency exchange organizer, a bank, or a peer-to-peer exchange licensed in the country. So, one thing this spells out is that there's going to be a lot of custody involved here. A lot of people are not just going to be holding their coins. They're going to be having it in a bank, basically, which means they don't actually hold it. And that makes it easy to confiscate, right? Maybe this could be a pretext to get everybody to consolidate their Bitcoins into these centralized banking institutions. And then when the CBDC rolls out, say, hey, you know what? We changed our minds. And now the Bitcoin is ours. And then they conscript the Bitcoin. Maybe they give you the fair market value in CBDC, but that's something to consider. It says here, those who illegally accept cryptocurrencies as payment will incur fines. Those who illegally accept cryptocurrencies as payment will incur fines. That's what it says. That's pretty wild, right? That's pretty wild. The bank also stated that financial firms should not facilitate crypto transactions as part of that proposal to ban digital assets. Oh, that's part of the Russia ban thing. Okay. But yeah, I mean, basically, you're not even going to be able to use this as whatever they call it, a settlement layer, if you can't transact over $8,000. And, that's something to consider. Let's talk more about some things going on with this bill. As you guys have already seen, there's going to be KYC through the wazoo. And if that's the case, why the heck would I not just want to use cash for my purchases? If I cared about my privacy, dude, I'd be just trying to get in fiat cash rather than Bitcoin here. Are you guys on the same page as me? Let me know what you think. A document that sets the principle for cryptocurrency regulation appeared on a government website Tuesday night. Yeah, we pretty much... The move is the latest by a country to weigh in on the legality of cryptocurrency after several years during which it has operated largely in a gray zone. Some nations like El Salvador are embracing the digital asset, while others like China are banning it. Last week, India also took a step towards legalization by imposing a 30% tax on digital asset transfers. Whoa, that's a lot. So they're going to tax the crap out of it. They're going to surveil the crap out of it. Not part of the program, right? I don't think this is part of the program. Russia's new regulatory stance toward crypto stands in contrast to that of U.S. regulators. Although the SEC chairman, Gary Gensler, has made it clear that he wants to regulate cryptocurrencies, few specific regulations have been imposed. On the fraud side, however, the U.S. government has stepped up its policing because of the Bitfinex thing that we talked about in the last video. So you have a lot of things coming together, which I think are incentivizing the U.S. government to initiate a regulatory crackdown on crypto. And I think that in this regulatory crackdown, you're going to have mandated OFAC compliant mining pools. I suspect that's going to be the case now that Russia is getting into this stuff, because the narrative is forming that Russia is going to want to be using Bitcoin as a way to get around sanctions, and the U.S. has exhorted to companies, not only in the United States and amongst allied countries, but even in China. They say, hey, do not help Russia evade sanctions. And so if you are a U.S. corporate mining company, Bitcoin mining company, and you're mining Bitcoin, and Russian transactions are going through those blocks, okay, you would be helping Russians evade sanctions if you mine those blocks. And so there's going to be an introduction, I believe, of censorship into the protocol. Not necessarily into the protocol, I misstated that. I think there's going to be an incentive on the behalf of the authorities to encourage U.S. corporate miners to not mine certain transactions coming from Russia or North Korea or these other countries, Iran, etc. That could be the pretext. Now that Bitcoin is starting to be adopted by big countries like Russia that are antagonistic to the U.S. financial system, the global financial system. So we'll see where that goes, and we've talked about that more on the channel. If you want to understand the implications of that, I'll link a video here or there. But I think with everything going on from Kazakhstan into Europe's energy price situations, I think that the United States has enough hash power in order to effectively censor the blockchain. And given everything that's been going on with Fuentes and some others who have used Bitcoin and have been caught up in some domestic issues, there could be a push to not only censor foreign actors that the state deems to be dangerous, but also domestic ones as well, which means you and me. And in the Bitfinex hack situation, what did we see? We saw the head of the Justice Department, or one of the heads, one of the major authorities, come out and say that no criminal is safe using Bitcoin. And who it is they consider a criminal, as far as I'm concerned, is kind of up in the air. We are living in dystopian authoritarian times. I don't need to tell you, probably. So do I want to be in Bitcoin with all of this developing? No, I think our positions here in the private cryptos are incredibly strong. I think we are honestly just unbelievably early. Moving on. Let's not get caught into all that. Wait until Russia accepts Bitcoin payments for oil. Yeah, huge stab to the heart of the petrodollar if they do that. And this is the website of OFAC, the Office of Foreign Asset Controls. Yeah, they do trade sanctions and, terrorista stuff. And, yeah, they enforce basically the United States foreign policy abroad by censoring transactions. And we've already seen a precedent for OFAC-compliant mining pools. So, I think that's coming. I think that's going to be more normalized, which means all this stuff about Bitcoin being permissionless, I think that's going to be a thing of the past. We'll see. I mean, maybe a lot of Bitcoin hash power goes to Russia. That could happen. Now that it's pretty much good to go over there and they have the government backing them up. You could see a lot of activity move to Russia. In fact, you could see a lot of Kazakhstan Bitcoin miners move to Russia. right? That could be something coming. And so in that case, maybe the U.S. is not going to have the dominance over the hash power that I thought they were going to have. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. I mean, BlackRock and other big institutional investors are getting deep into Bitcoin mining. And so with all the money that's here getting invested into that stuff, it's going to be a battle. I think they will have a significant opportunity to censor the Bitcoin blockchain. Now, Russia, if they had that opportunity, they'd do it too, wouldn't they? Now, could the United States and Russia and the entire global regulatory system as a whole decide to censor certain transactions in unison, to use their hash power in unison to censor transactions? That's yet to be seen. We'll see what happens with that. But moving on, yes, it does. Monero has problems. Monero's problem is acceptance among government institutions. It has good tech, but it isn't Bitcoin. So this is a compliance bro saying, kind of like what Michael Saylor has said. Monero is better than Bitcoin. If you need something better than Bitcoin, then Monero is always there for you. But it's just not going to be adopted. It's too private. We don't know about the supply. All this FUD stuff, right? We don't care. We don't really care about institutional adoption. That was never the whole goal. The goal was me being able to transact freely with you. Period. The end. That was the whole goal of crypto. If you're in it for the tendies, I still think Monero is just like an epic play. Don't get me wrong. But that wasn't the whole goal. The whole idea was freedom. And the whole idea was being able to access an economic system with the use of a universally decentralized and trustless accounting ledger, which doesn't discriminate against anyone, which doesn't kick out anyone from the system arbitrarily, which allows for everyone to trade and transact with currencies that have no history, which means they're totally fungible, which means anyone can participate truly, and facilitate the movement of commerce, the movement of life itself, through this system without third-party evil intermediaries getting involved. That was the whole goal. So Mr. Ape has a slam dunk here. He says, today's public service announcement. I don't want Monero to be co-opted by the state, the banks, or the big corporations who have proven to be the enemy of the people. If that results in a lack of number go up, then so be it. Financial sovereignty and freedom are the motives. It isn't Bitcoin, and that's a feature. I think that's well said, brother. I think that's well said. Monero doesn't need public acceptance. It just needs your acceptance and the acceptance of your trading partners. So, yeah, good takes all around, Monero Bros. Good takes. Moving on, let's talk about more perspectives on this adoption. UTXOXO. He shares the news from the Bitcoin archive that Russia is now treating Bitcoin as a currency. And he says, quote unquote, their circulation in the legal sector will be possible only with full identification through the banking system or licensed intermediaries. He's saying, I'm sharing facts, not hopium. And yeah, some Bitcoin bros are being skeptical, but that's one of the few takes that I was able to find of somebody who was being skeptical. And this guy brings up something that I noticed as well. Diverter, who's got some pretty good takes. I give him a follow. Hopium accounts post some news story that is uber bullish for Bitcoin, but conveniently leaves out the regulatory capture part. Bitcoin street users call it out almost immediately, but at a 0.002% of the engagement. Be aware, eyes open. We'll talk about this probably in a different video. We've already gone on a little bit, but the Bitcoin archive says breaking new iPhone feature will enable Bitcoin to tap to pay transactions. And somebody comments and gets no engagement. Customers who are using Coinbase card, Crypto.com, Visa card, or a similar payment card. And we're going to talk about this development because, Apple, Google, Visa, MasterCard, they're all part of the same group. They're all part of the same neoliberal, globalista, anti-nationalist, anti-Christian group, which is currently taking over the country and the world as a whole. And MasterCard is heavily invested in Coinbase, as well as some other nefarious entities. MasterCard is also invested a lot in a digital currency group. You're going to have to go check out those videos if you're not up to speed on that stuff. It's important to get a context on that so that you can understand what's going on. Crypto.com Visa card. So you've probably heard recently about Crypto.com. They're partnered up with Visa. So the legacy financial system is like totally being integrated into this new crypto surveillance financial system, the new crypto world order. So that's going on. And where is everybody to call this out, right? Is it only the Monero Bros? That seems to be the case. And if we continue to point this out, and if we continue to call this stuff before it happens, like what I'm basically saying is, if we continue to be ahead of the curve, guys, we're going to have a lot of credibility. We're already going to have that resistance momentum behind us that said, hey, these are the principles that we abide to and we ain't moving. And we're not going to go along with all this. You guys can get all the attendees you want. We're going to stay true to our purpose and our mission here. That's going to give us so much more strength when it really comes time for people to say, hey, you know what? I don't like where Bitcoin's going. I don't like where all this is going now that I've made my 10Ds and I'm now maybe rich, but have no freedom whatsoever. You know what? Maybe it's time for another Monero revolution or another crypto revolution. Maybe that's Monero, right? And so that could be what happens. Just some thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, the more tweets, the tweets that I have left go to that. So that's about it. That's about it. I need to take a break a little bit from videos, but honestly, like, there's so much news happening right now. I mean, it's tax season. I'm terribly busy, and I'm kind of fried. But, dude, I got to keep up with this. We got to keep up the pressure, guys. We got to keep moving on because we're kind of in the quickening. You know what I mean? And we've got to reach out to people who are starting to sense there's something wrong, because there is. And we're here. We have a solution. We have a vehicle that allows us to respond adequately to this development of KYC takeover and the technocratic dystopia. I'm not saying Monero is the one and done solution to all of this, by no means. That's why we're about Christ and crypto here. I mean, this is going to take more than mere technology to turn around, but at least it's a move in the right direction. I mean, I think that the conscience of some of these Bitcoin bros who started out as being libertarian and oriented towards freedom, I feel like once the gains start to slow down, and who knows, I mean, if you can convince these people the gains ever will slow down. I mean, I'm seeing crazy predictions still as to where this stuff is going, but maybe they start to say, you know what, maybe I just led my lambs to slaughter. Maybe I led the libertarian bros and the OGs into the lion's pit. Maybe that's what's going on. And if you look at our digital currency group videos and the crypto coup d'etat series, you'll kind of get a better perspective on that. And if you watch the Money Today show, who just does incredible work on this, that'll be very clearly elucidated to you. I think it's a trap. I think we've been fooled, guys. I think we've been befuddled, and I think that we need to perform a rearguard action and get into private cryptos. I mean, it's just such a no-brainer. Like, to you guys watching this, with everything we've talked about on the channel, obviously, Monero is just a freaking no-brainer. We don't even need to think twice about our position because it's just so fundamentally strong. But it's just, there are people out there who don't know this stuff, and we've got to reach out to them. And it's great to see Zaptosis. It's great to see some of you guys becoming more active on Twitter to kind of just push back against all this stuff. On every crazy zero hedge article that I'm seeing now where they pump Bitcoin and they say, hey, Bitcoin's a solution to this problem, where this guy just got caught being surveilled, I guess. And it's like I'm starting to see more pushback and saying, how does Bitcoin fix this? Did you not hear about the hackers who got caught by the Justice Department because of their Bitcoin transparency, or the millions of other people. Did you not hear about Fuentes? I saw Gab do a post, and they said, hey, Bitcoin's freedom money. They're responding to something Jordan Peterson was saying, because Jordan Peterson's saying Bitcoin will fix this now, and he's getting on board. I like Jordan Peterson, but someone's got to tell him about Monero. They're saying that Bitcoin is freedom money, Gab is, and Fuentes is like one of the biggest, most popular users on Gab, and he has had his Bitcoin transactions surveilled and scrutinized by the federal government, and has actually gotten him implicated into things. So maybe they just don't know about Monero. That could very well be the case. That very well could be the case, and so we need to continue to reach out, guys. I don't think, like some people think, that this is people having a lack of interest in privacy. I think people, especially today, do. It's just that they're not properly educated on what Monero is and the potential that it has to really secure privacy, and how easy this stuff is to use, and how widely adopted it's becoming. And we have to continue up the pressure. We have to continue to get the message out there, guys. The Bitcoin Bro Battalion is going to rise, and I think that if we just keep it up, guys, there's going to be a sea change. There's going to be a sea change, and it's going to be beautiful when it happens, and we'll be able to watch sunsets privately on the beaches of wherever with our Neros in our lovely wallets. So I think that's it. That's it. What else to say? I think that's it. That was a long outro. Monero Matteo, go check out the tees on the link below. Get yourself a discounted t-shirt. They're awesome. Also check out social media links. Go check out Zaptosis, our buddy, who is now a general in the Monero Bro Battalion. And if you guys have a business, again, and you take Pirate Chain, you take Monero or whatever, I don't even care at this point. If you guys are accepting private cryptos as a business or as an individual doing stuff in the economy, let me know. Love to give you a shout out for the Monero Marketing Mondays. It's something that's going to be a ritual. It's going to have to be. And I see some of you doing good work out there for that. That's good. And then check out the donation links as well if you want to help support the channel. If you want to do like a private super chat, send me some Pirate Chain. You can include a message there. Send me some Monero. Throw me something in Proton Mail if you want me to give you a shout out, say something cool or whatever. That's it. Monero Matteo, you guys have a wonderful night. God bless you. Bye-bye.